Okay, today class, we're going to be filling out our sentence structure and grammar notes. This is my graphics since I'm saving on graphics and time and money. Okay, sentence structure, grammar notes. You need to fill out your sentence structure and grammar notes with me. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen too. Okay, so the first thing, a clause. A clause is just a fancy name for a group of words. So whenever I say a clause, that's what I'm talking about, a group of words. It cannot be just one word because that wouldn't be a group. It has to be a group of words. So let's write that down. A fancy name for saying a group of words. Okay, these are the basics so you can understand how to do sentence structure. Okay, an independent clause, we know it has to be a group of words because clause means a group of words. If it's independent, it makes sense by itself. It doesn't need any help because it's independent. Okay, think about if you're independent of your parents, you don't need their help. So an independent clause doesn't need anyone else's help or any other word's help for it to make sense. It makes sense by itself. It is a complete thought. Okay, so let's write that down. A group of words that makes sense by themselves and is a complete thought. Okay, so for it to be a complete thought, it must have a subject and a verb. So I'm going to give you an example. What is an example of a sentence that is complete? For example, let's do the dog ran to the tree, period. If I say the dog ran to the tree, that is a complete thought. What if I say the movie was interesting? Is that a complete thought? Yeah, my subject is the movie. My verb was interesting. I have a predicate. It's a complete thought. The movie was interesting. I'm going to put another example. I want you guys to put this because I'm going to show you something because there's a part that some people get confused on. So let's do this. The movie was interesting. Now, here's the part that some people get confused. I'm going to write this sentence down. I want you to write down too. It was interesting. If I just say it was interesting, is that a complete thought? It was interesting. Yep, that's a complete thought. It was interesting. I do not need to tell you what it is because it is a pronoun. Remember, pronouns like it, he, she, they, we, us, they replace the noun or the subject and they still can make sense. For example, I can say the desk is sturdy. That's a complete thought. Or I can say it is sturdy. That's still a complete thought because it replaces the noun, the desk, okay? It is a pronoun. Like I can say the dog ran to the tree, or if it's a male dog, I can say he ran to the tree. He ran to the tree is a complete thought. If I say it was interesting is a complete thought. Okay, so that's an independent clause. Okay, so what is a dependent clause? If an independent clause is one that makes sense by itself, what do you think a dependent clause is? A dependent clause is a clause meaning a group of words that does not make sense by itself. It is an incomplete thought. So let's put that down. A group of words that does not make sense by themselves. So, let's put it's an incomplete thought. Okay, so let me, that's how you spell thought. There, sorry. Okay, so let's give an example. What if I said, because he was late, period. If I just said, because he was late, is that a complete thought? Because he was late. No, that's not a complete thought. That does not make sense by itself. It's not a complete thought. I need to say because I'm starting it with because he was late, I have to have something else. So we're going to put this as our dependent clause example. Write that down. Because he was late. In fact, I want you to put a box around the word because. Okay, box. I can't do it on here, but I want to show you my student example. It's hard. It's too hard for me to do on the computer. But let me see. You guys see that? Put a because there, like a box around because. And then I want you to label it like this student did. Because is a dependent signal word. See how the student has an arrow and it says dependent signal word? Add that to yours. Little arrow, dependent signal word. Dependent signal word. If you need to, at any time during this video, pause it if I'm going too fast for you to write, okay? And then you can keep playing. Because he was late. Because is a dependent signal word. Whenever we call it dependent signal word, because it signals that a dependent clause is starting. If you know your dependent signal words, it's easy to see when you have a dependent clause because you know those dependent signal words are signaling that a dependent clause is starting. At the end of your packet here, I actually give you, I'm scrolling down for a sec to show you the end of the packet. I give you a list of dependent signal words. They're all over here, dependent signal words. They're on the right-hand side right here, dependent signal words. Like, for example, after. If I say after the movies, is that a complete thought? No, it's not a complete thought. So because I know my dependent signal words, I know that a dependent clause was starting because after the movies does not make sense by itself, okay? All right, so those are your dependent signal words list. At some point, you're going to have to get familiarized with those well enough that you can easily recognize them. All right, so now that you know the basics, let's start into sentence structure. Do you know how many sentence types there are in the English language? Hold up your hand with the amount of numbers. How many, like on your fingers, think about it. Show me how many sentences or sentence types are there in the English language, in the entire English language. If you said 4, you are correct. There are only 4 types of sentences in the English language. That's it. If you know the formula for those 4 types of sentences, and you always plug your words into one of those 4 formulas, you will always have a sentence that is correctly written, meaning it's not incomplete and it's not a run-on. An incomplete sentence or sentence fragment means it's not a complete thought, like a dependent clause. Like dependent clause, because he was late, that is an incomplete sentence. It is a sentence fragment. It's a fragment of a sentence. A run-on sentence means that the sentence keeps going on and on and on and on, and you need to have a period somewhere, okay? You put too much into it, too much into the one sentence. All right, so there's only 4 types, like I said, of sentences in the English language, and we're going to learn those 4 types. As long as you know those 4 types, and you're plugging your words into those formulas, just like a math problem. If you plug your numbers into the math formula, then you always get the right answer. But you have to know the 4 formulas. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to number them, okay? I want you to do like this student did, and I want you to put a big circle with like a number 1 and a number 2 next to them. Okay, so I can't do that on the computer because it's too hard to like circle and, put a number 1 inside of a circle, but you guys are going to do that on yours. So next, the first type of sentence is a simple sentence. So next to simple sentence on your notes, put a big number 1 and circle it nice and neatly. Next to compound sentence, put a big number 2 and circle it, okay, nice and neatly. Then the third type of sentence, go down to complex sentence, put a big number 3 next to complex sentence and circle it. Then the last one, number 4, is a compound complex sentence. Put a big number 4 next to it and circle it. Those are the 4 types of sentences, and I'm going to teach you how to do those. Okay, so a simple sentence. A simple sentence is just one independent clause. Write that down in your notes. Simple sentence is one independent clause. You can even underline 1 if you wanted to. Okay, 1 independent clause. Okay, so let's give an example. Hey, didn't we write an independent clause up here? The dog ran to the tree. That was an independent clause and it was only one. So let's write that again. That's our simple sentence. The dog, ran to the tree. Period. The dog ran to the tree. That's one independent clause. That's a simple sentence. It's called a simple sentence because it's the easiest type of sentence in the English language. It's only one independent clause. Now, I want you to make a note though with a star. Anything less than a, I'm typing and looking at the same time. Anything, I didn't mean to put that, less than a simple sentence is an incomplete or a sentence fragment. You cannot have anything less than a simple sentence. If you have anything less than that, it's an incomplete sentence or it's a sentence fragment, okay, which is improper English, okay? It would not be a proper sentence at all, okay? So that's important to know about a simple sentence. Okay, so let's go now to a compound sentence. The simple sentence was easy. This one is two independent clauses. Two independent clauses. This is the way I kind of remember it because we're about to learn complex sentence. So they're both C's, compound and complex. So how do you know, like remember the difference between the two? A compound, think about compound. What are you doing if you compound something? Show me with your hands. If you're compounding something, what are you doing? You might think of doing this, like compounding it. So you're putting things together. To compound, you're putting two things together. So we're putting together two independent clauses. Two independent clauses. We're compounding two independent clauses together. Okay, now, with the compound sentence, there are three ways to compound them together, to link them to these two independent clauses together. And you need to know this because when you're tested, especially like if you're going to be taking the FSA or if you're taking SATs or ACTs, you have to, or if you're just in life, this is basic writing. This is basic, like how to write a sentence. You have to know how to write a basic sentence to go out into the world. You know, that's something that you will use in real life. Unlike other things, you actually need to know how to write a basic sentence. Okay, so there are only three ways to link two independent clauses. You have to have those three ways memorized, especially if you're taking one of the tests like FSA or SAT, because they're testing you on your ability to recognize when those two independent clauses are not linked properly and how do you link them properly. Okay, so we're going to learn the first way. See, it says three ways to link independent clauses. The first way is with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. I call conjunctions, like that's a big English term. So I give you an easy way to remember what the coordinating conjunctions are. There's only seven coordinating conjunctions in the English language. So I call them fanboys because that's what you'll see. It's an acronym. So you're going to link it with comma and a fanboys, which is another name, the way I call coordinating conjunction because it's easy to remember. So let's skip ahead a little bit. Right now, I want you to write what the fanboys are. If you don't know them already, write them, okay? I'm going to write them. You can do yours down your paper. It's probably easier. I'm going to write them on here, actually. Let's do it. I'm going to do it on my hard copy. Okay, I'm going to write them going down my paper. Oops, I'm running out of room. Boys. I'm going to show you. Okay, you might want to write yours in a straight line, unlike what I did with mine. See, I did fan, and then I ran out of room, and I went down here, boys. Fan, boys. Okay, we're going to write what they are. The F is for, F-O-R, for. I'm going to write it, and I'll be saying it out loud, and then I'll show you, okay? But you can write with me. The A stands for and, A-N-D. The N stands for nor, N-O-R. The B stands for but, B-U-T. The O stands for or, O-R. And the Y stands for yet, Y-E-T. And the S stands for so. So if you write down like I did, just maybe not as crooked as I did. Fan, boys. For and nor, but, or, yet, so. So I'm making it easy for you to memorize what the coordinating conjunctions are because there's only 7 of them. Just memorize fanboys. Fanboys, for and nor, but, or, yet, so. Okay, so let's go back to writing our sentence. Okay, so like I said, a compound sentence is 2 independent clauses linked together. The first way we're going to link them together is with a comma, fanboys. So let me show you what I mean. We're going to start with our original independent clause. The dog ran to the tree. Let's write that. Yes, write it again. Dog ran to the tree. This time I'm not going to put a period because I'm linking 2 independent clauses together. I'm going to make my font a little bigger here for you to see. The dog ran to, that wasn't that big, but okay. The dog ran to the tree. Okay, we already said that makes sense by itself. That's an independent clause. Okay, but remember, we have to put 2 independent clauses. So let's think of another independent clause that makes sense. It's a complete thought that we can put in this sentence to elaborate. Like the dog ran to the tree. What else did he do? The dog ran to the tree, making a complete thought. How about he barked loudly? If I say he barked loudly, is that a complete thought? Yep, that's a complete thought. He barked loudly. But I'm going to link it properly. I'm going to use a comma and one of my fanboys. So the dog ran to the tree, comma. Which one of my fanboys can I use? The dog ran to the tree, nor he barked loudly? No, that doesn't make sense. How about and? And is one of my fanboys. It's the A in fan. Okay, so I'm going to put the dog ran to the tree, and he barked loudly. Write this sentence with me. Period. If you need to pause the video, go ahead so you can write, and then you can push play again. Okay. The dog ran to the tree, comma, and he barked loudly. The dog ran to the tree makes sense. He barked loudly makes sense, okay? And I linked it with my comma and a fanboys. Okay, it has to make sense over here for it to get the comma with the fanboys. Now, do you always put a comma whenever you see a fanboys? Like, for example, if I said the color of our flag is, or the colors of our flag are red, white, and blue. Okay. Actually, no, that's not a good example. Let me do a different one because that one you actually would use a comma because you're listing. How about if I say, today I'm wearing black and pink. Black and pink. I'm only listing 2 things. Okay, so I'm going to just type, don't write this down. I'm going to type this out to explain this to you because this is a mistake that people often make. Just look at this with me. Okay, I'm wearing black and pink. Okay, period. Now look, I'm wearing black. Oh, that's not black. I'm wearing black. I'm wearing black. Is that a complete thought? Yes, that's a complete thought. I'm wearing black. That's a complete thought. Now I have a fanboys and. Let's look after it. Pink. If I just said pink, is that a complete thought? No, that's not a complete thought because I'm just listing 2 things. So if I say I'm wearing black and pink, I would not put a comma there because this is not independent over here. It has to be independent. Okay. We'll get back to that. That's just a side note I wanted to tell you because some people make that mistake. What you need to know right now at this part of the lesson is that for a compound sentence, you have to have 2 independent clauses, and the first way to link it is using a comma, fanboys. The dog ran to the tree is complete. He barked loudly. That's a complete thought. Those are 2 independent clauses, and I've linked them together using a comma, fanboys, using the word and as my fanboy. Okay. Now, the second way to link 2 independent clauses together is using a semicolon. Do you guys know what a semicolon is? The little dot with the comma? Do you know what they mean? Okay, look down at your paper. We're going to go down our paper. I actually have a spot for you to put the meaning of a semicolon. Here's a semicolon. Okay, a semicolon means that there could be a period there. There could be a period there, but instead, I'm going to link, like there could be a period there. That's why there's the little period. But I'm going to link my 2 complete thoughts together so that they're one sentence with a comma. Okay, so I'm going to show you first, and then we're going to write the definition. How about that? Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So let's go back up to the second way to link a compound sentence. All right, let me take this pointer off. Okay, second way to link a compound sentence is linking it with two independent clauses with a semicolon. So let's do it. The dog ran to the tree. Let's write it. Why is mine not writing? Oops, I got capitalized. It's the beginning of a sentence. The dog ran to the tree. Okay, he barked loudly is my second one. I'm gonna write that. He barked loudly, because we already said that's a complete thought. That's an independent clause, period. Now, instead of linking it with a comma fanboys, I'm going to link it with a semicolon. I'm going to put a semicolon in between. The dog ran to the tree, semicolon, he barked loudly. That's two independent clauses linked together with a semicolon. When you have a semicolon, you cannot put a fanboys. It's just a semicolon. The dog ran to the tree, semicolon, he barked loudly. The dog ran to the tree makes sense. He barked loudly makes sense. It's a complete thought and a complete thought linked together with a semicolon. That's the second way. So what I was saying before, you could put a period there. Like I could have put, I'm going to show you. I could have put a period right here, period. The dog ran to the tree, and then I would have to capitalize he, because it's now the beginning of my sentence. The dog ran to the tree. That's a complete thought. I could put a period there. He barked loudly. That's a complete thought. So I could have had a period there because I have two complete thoughts. They could have been two sentences. But I decided to link those two independent clauses together to make one sentence, so I have a compound sentence. So I could have a period there, but I'm going to link them together with a comma. So in which case, there's my semicolon. Semicolon, and then I lowercase my he because it's now in the middle of my sentence. The dog ran to the tree, semicolon, he barked loudly. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our definition down below for a semicolon. Let's put, you put this between two independent clauses. I'm having trouble typing today. Because I'm talking and typing at the same time. Let's see. Okay. You put between two independent clauses, period. Let's put, it acts as a period and a comma to combine two complete sentences. Let's put slash clauses because that's what we're talking about. Two independent or two complete sentences slash clauses. Okay. All right. Put that. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and put it. I'm going to keep going though. All right. So, okay, so we're going back to our compound sentence. Okay, so we did our second way of linking it, linking two independent clauses with a semicolon. The third and final way to link two independent clauses is with a semicolon, conjunctive adverb, which is a transition word. That's what you guys more commonly know it as. Semicolon, transition word, and a comma after. Comma after. So let's do our sentence. The dog ran to the tree. Let's leave a little space. Let's put he barked loudly. Okay, put period. We know that the dog ran to the tree is a complete thought. It's independent clause. He barked loudly is a complete thought. It's an independent clause. So we have our two independent clauses, but this time we're going to link them using the third way. The third way is with a semicolon. Let's put a semicolon there. A transition word, or you could call it conjunctive adverb. A transition word. What is a transition word? Let's think of some transition words that might fit here. The dog ran to the tree. However, he barked loudly. No, that doesn't make sense because it's not like an opposite. Like however means like opposite. What are transition words again? Let's think of them. However, therefore, furthermore is a transition word. Think about all the transition words you've learned in English. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here because I actually have given you a list of transition words. If you look here at the bottom at your little chart of your notes, in the middle column, those are your transition words. However, therefore, furthermore, thus, consequently, on the other hand, moreover, okay, all these. Now, which one makes sense in my sentence? The dog ran to the tree, he barked loudly. How How about let's use furthermore? That makes sense. The dog ran to the tree. Furthermore, he barked loudly because he's doing it in addition. Okay, so let's do